Hello, and thank you for joining us. My name is Sinéad, and I am the founder of Conscious Connections. I'm joined today by David Keegan, who will be co-facilitating our upcoming event, Cacao, Consent and Cuddles. Welcome, David. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me for the chats.
Yeah, great. So we've been having a lot of questions about what this event is about. I think people have some hesitations, maybe some reservations. They don't fully understand what's going to happen. And we decided the best way to address this was to jump on this call and record the answers to the questions so that they're available for everybody. Mm-hmm. So David, you have a few questions there that people have sent us over the last few days.
Yeah, some great questions came in. So we'll fire straight into them. So the first one is it mixed male, female?
Yes. So it is mixed male, female. Now, it is not a singles event. I know that was one of the other questions. So we're not regulating the ticket sales in the way that we would if it was a singles event. So when you go on the website to buy your ticket, there's just tickets. There's not male tickets, female tickets. But it is a mixed event and everybody is welcome.
Okay. Next question. What types of activities happen?
Great. So we're going to open sharing some cacao. I know there is other questions, so we'll go more into what the cacao is about later in this. So we're going to open sharing a cup of cacao, and then we're going to go straight into a consent workshop. So that's going to be practices. We're going to practice in pairs and as a group, experiencing what yeses feels like, what nos feel like within our body, what our somatic experience is. Practice saying no to people when they ask for what they want, practicing asking for what we want. Navigating the art of consent is how I love to say it. So also negotiating with people. Maybe you ask me for something that I'm not completely comfortable to give to you as a receiver. So then we're negotiating something in the middle and finding out what's a full yes for everybody. So we're practicing these skills through guided workshops.
Okay, and just a little question that I wanted to throw in on top. I suppose in the context of the activities that take place, what level of intimacy are we talking about here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are really clear boundaries on the space. So this is a fully clothed space and there's no hands under clothes. So no hand under a t-shirt touching a belly or anything like that. And there's going to be no touch of breasts or bums, genitals, anything like that. So those are the boundaries on the space. So the type of touch then we're talking about is receiving a hug. Sometimes people just want to sit in presence with another person. Maybe there could be a little bit of eye gazing. So I know people found it very safe and comforting to sit back to back and just regulate through the breath in that way. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Do you have anything else now you want to throw in there?
Well, the only thing I might throw in is that, like, I suppose an important thing to remember as well for people who do book a ticket and do sign up and do come along is it can be huge for someone to just book a ticket for an event like this. It can be really big. To just come along and book your ticket, that is participation. So if you get to the room and you choose not to participate in an activity because you're uncomfortable with it, that is your participation. You're checking in with yourself and you've just decided that this activity isn't for me. And a lot of them might not be, but you came in the first place, and that's a big step. It can be a big step for a lot of people. And by the third or fourth or fifth activity, you might have gotten over your own anxiety and kind of ready to take part in one of the exercises. I suppose that's and again, there is trepidation in the room. There is anxiety because, again, there's the unknown. But I think once you settle in, and you realize this is an opportunity to play like a child, which you don't get to do very often as an adult, it can be really fun, really fun. So next question. Is it structured and what's the event flow?
Okay, so I think we've kind of gone through the event flow.
Yeah.
We're going to leave a little bit of the unknown in there as well.
Yeah, don't give it all away.
Exactly. But that's, you have a scope. If you need to know more, you can let us know, and we can give you a more itemized breakdown.
Yeah.
And is it structured? Yes, it absolutely is structured. The evening is structured. Um, as facilitators, like, we have a whole toolbox, so it's not necessarily that we know A to Z exactly what's going to happen. We're going to really see where people are at and maybe change around some exercises. We're going to have a whole bunch of things there that we can choose from, but the whole thing is structured and the whole thing is held and guided. And I feel here like just tapping into the tenderness of what it's like to come to an event like this. That's the unknown. It's just, as a facilitator, I'm just guiding that and holding that with so much tenderness and awareness of how big it is, because I know how big it is for me,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and how much I've benefited from it. And I'm really into the slow approach. There's no pushy, there's no rushing. It's just slow and steady. And that's why we've added an extra hour as well onto this workshop. We held this workshop 3 or 4 weeks ago now, already, and we've added the extra hour just to be able to have that slowness and that spaciousness in the evening.
And so, like, is some of the next question as well has been answered, but what do most people ask for, and what are the boundaries of the space?
So yeah, we spoke already about what the boundaries of the space are. What most people ask for, I think this is really reflective of where people are at in their own comfort levels. Like, somebody might come and the most that they're comfortable with, and even with somebody of the same gender as them, and I'm saying that because I know that it can sometimes be more comfortable for women to do a partnered exercise with another woman, specifically. There's that feeling of safety there. But sometimes, even with somebody that we feel really safe with, the thing that we're most comfortable to ask for is just to sit in presence and hold hands. So that it might just be that, or it could be full on being held. Like, I know that that's where I'm at, is I'm, really appreciating when there is a masculine presence that I'm in practice with who can just hold me, and I can really rest into that. And I'm at a space where I can ask for this now. But when I started doing these workshops, I might have wanted that, but I wasn't able to ask for it. It's a skill.
Yeah. And look, that's the place to practice this, because all of our needs are completely different and varying. Just to give it a little example, I suppose I took part in an event in Perth, but it was more experienced. And, like, for example, I was asked to purr in someone's ear like a cat and gently stroke their back. And so, yeah, so everybody has their own needs, and that happened to be someone's in that room. But yeah, people can check in just to see and really, really explore in a fun, playful way where there is no expectation. And it's there is no what, like, I was looking at the question of what do most people ask for, and it's kind of like, you don't know. Everybody kind of has their own thing and their own needs. So
And this is where
next,
the negotiation is so key, because, like, I might have said, if you had that quirky question, I might say, well, I'm not really comfortable with the purring part, but I can gently stroke your back. I'm
yeah,
comfortable with
yeah,
that. And it's just,
yeah,
there's so much fun in that as well. Like, this stuff is so potent then in our lives. Like, and we're going to talk more about at the end of this chat about how this work has impacted us. But I think it's just amazing to have these skills then that we can use in our lives. Like, how do we negotiate consent? Like, it's not just in giving and receiving touch, it's also, in life.
yeah, yeah. So next question: can you speak about the potential expectations / no expectations?
Yeah, I wondered what that question, I didn't fully understand that question. But I didn't want to exclude it because I didn't fully understand it, and I thought I'd do my best to speak to it. Like, my initial response is there is no expectations.
Yeah.
What I would ask for is that each participant is very autonomous and does their best to listen to themselves and their own needs within the space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What would you say as an answer to that question?
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I read it, I was kind of like, I don't know. I found it kind of helpful to go in with no expectation, an open heart and an open mind, really, and then just use the opportunity to explore and practice. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I was at. That's what worked for me. I didn't really go in with I want to meet someone, or I want to have a breakthrough in a family dilemma, or I want to figure out how to gain more friends and influence people. Like, it was, for me, it was very much, yeah, just having I went in with an open heart and an open mind. And in terms of the exercise, I think one of the most powerful things I did was I gazed with another man I never met before for 2 or 3 minutes. That was incredible. It really was. And so yeah, so that's what worked for me.
Yeah.
Um, Next question: what about if someone feels shy?
I mean, everybody
I'm
feels shy.
I'm pretty
Go
shy.
on, you
Everybody's
go
shy.
ahead.
Yeah.
Is that what you were going to say?
I was gonna say I'm shy.
Yeah, me too. And I think
Yeah.
people don't usually realize that because they see me standing in front of a room of like 40 people. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm really in my comfort zone there. But if I step into that room as a participant, for sure, I feel a little bit nervous and a little bit
Mm.
shy. And it's a practice again. Like I noticed, especially when, yeah, I've just noticed how much more comfortable I've gotten stepping into a room full of strangers to do vulnerable things, the more that I do it. So I think it's really common. Everybody feels a little bit nervous coming
Yeah,
to
but
our
I,
event.
I
I
think
feel a little bit nervous before an
that's what I
event.
was going to say. I think we talked about it the last time. I think we had a conversation. It's like, I asked you, it's like, you've been doing this years. I think it's like, do you still get nervous? You're like, yeah, because you
Yeah.
don't know. Every room is different, and it's always different people, and there's but yeah, but once you actually land, which is great, including the cacao and a bit of guided meditation and setting your intentions, it really grounds you into the space. So you're not just let's get stuck in. There's a nice landing, and that's
Yeah.
really important actually into the space, because it really allows you to check in with yourself and your heart, really, in order to experience the night in a way that isn't clouded with that anxiety or that fear.
Yeah. And I think it's really good as well to speak to like that line between nervous and excited, like
Yeah,
it's really hard to tell what's going on there sometimes for us. And it can be such a mix of both. Like I'm a little bit nervous and I'm also really excited, like that's generally how I feel when before I'm going to events. I'm like, ooh, and it's like, yeah, really looking forward to the evening.
yeah,
And a little bit of the unknown there as well is that little edge. And I mean, that's also the fun when we can really lean into those edges and expand. And that's what this whole work is about. Like, yeah, it's about learning skills and sharing and all of this other stuff, but in the basis of it, we're looking to expand those levels of comfort, and grow in ourselves and have some fucking fun whilst doing it.
yeah,
And maybe we're just crying all night, and that's welcome too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's yeah. I've witnessed that. So like, again, you're testing yourself in ways, and a lot of people have never really pushed their boundaries and really kind of checked in with themselves in that way. So it's incredibly powerful. Witnessed some
So powerful.
incredibly
And
powerful
I think,
shifts.
yes, it's also when you're leaving, like how you feel after the event, the
Yeah,
messages we get the next day, a week later, a month later, like it's beautiful.
yeah,
People feel whatever their experience is in the workshop, usually very empowered after it.
yeah. Next question. I'm sick. I'm over 60. Am I too old? We could actually, if you want to just take a couple of those questions, because you've answered some of them, but you may want to touch on them again. I'm over 60. Am I too old? Will it be mostly couples in attendance? Can I come on my own? Is this a singles event? I think you can answer all them pretty much
Yeah. So we already answered, it's not a singles event. Will it be mostly couples? Absolutely not. It will be mostly single people, because as Conscious Connections, we originally started doing Conscious Singles as our first main offering. So a lot of people that we reach are single. That's just how it is. At the last event that we held, the last one of these, I think everybody was single, but it was not a singles event. Can you come by yourself? Yes. Celebrating you coming by yourself, because it's so much easier to kind of like stick beside your best friend and come together. And when you come by yourself, it just requires a little bit of extra courage. And I actually feel you get to go deeper when, for me anyway, when I go by myself, if I'm going to anything kind of big and transformational, I usually like to go by myself. Now, going with a friend is also beautiful. I do love going with friends and sharing the experience, but you're so welcome to come by yourself. Will it be mostly couples? As we said, no, it can be couples. Couples are welcome. They need to know their own boundaries and what they're comfortable with, their partner sharing, with another person. And, we can, to a certain level, support them in that as well. If there is any couples that have hesitations or questions, you can just reach out. And are you welcome if you're over 60? Yes, you are absolutely welcome if you're over 60. There is no age limitations on this event.
Yeah, and just to I suppose expand a little bit, just because people would be used to coming to singles events. This is like couples are welcome, singles are welcome, but this is, again, it's far more broad than that, and we talked about this as well in terms of our own experiences, how these types of exercises and checking in with yourself around your yeses and your nos, it's about relationships. It's that broad. It's relationships, whether it's professional, whether it's your family, whether you're single and you're kind of alone. And, again, you're talking to someone who is a success in failed relationships. So that's why I'm a big advocate of this work, because it really gave me an insight as to what I was inviting in, what I was, where I was going wrong. So again, as a single person, like I'm in these types of events, attract single people because, again, you crave intimacy. You want a hug, even though you might be comfortable in your own company, but like that dopamine hit is important. Whether it's a cuddle or whether it's a spoon or and again, in terms of couples, like you might have lost a bit of a spark, or you haven't had the opportunity really to really connect, with each other in a space that's, managed and held, and at the same time, you might be at a point where there's a bit of stagnation. You're both kind of curious about, uh, you know, experiencing stuff with other people that are exercises. But again, we would encourage people in advance as a couple that you check in with each other as a couple and decide before coming to the event whether you want to experience these exercises with others or just yourselves. So again, this is incredibly broad, and it's about relationships, improving relationships, and your life's happiness. Sorry, I
Yeah.
kind of waffled a little bit there.
No, I love it. And what I just wanted to add in is it's about our relationship to ourselves. Like that's
Yeah.
the
Yes.
foundation of it.
Yes.
It's about our relationship to ourselves.
Yeah, and that's kind of, sorry, that should be at the top of the pyramid actually, and then all the other relationships, I think, then afterwards.
Great.
Um, so then we've got cacao. How does it affect you? Can you take it when on antidepressants, and how long do the effects last?
Okay. So cacao is a plant medicine. The effects could be physically described as similar to coffee. It has a little bit of caffeine in there. It definitely has less caffeine than coffee. It has, a bunch of vitamins and minerals, so it's super beneficial for us on a physical level. In the way that we're working with cacao, and also with this beautiful blend, which is hawthorn, because hawthorn is our native heart medicine, and we are importing this other heart medicine from the jungles and the Amazon. This blend, and again, hawthorn has all its own properties that it is like physically working with, and especially with the heart, also like cardiovascular health. They both have effects on cardiovascular health. But the way that we're working with them is working with the energetic effects of these medicines. So we will guide a meditation. So you're drinking your cacao very intentionally. We'll drink together very slowly, putting in there our intentions for the evening and our experience for ourselves. And then really using these medicines or working with these medicines to connect to our heart space. So what they will help us to do is to actually connect to and feel our heart chakra, our whole heart area, and also to begin to soften these walls that we have put up around our heart, protecting us. So slowly peeling away those layers. It can be that you have a very strong experience and you really connect and you're crying and, you know, there's something very deep happening there. It can be that you feel nothing at all. But this is the way, the intention behind us bringing these medicines in for the night is to support us. Do you have anything you'd like to add there?
No, it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah. So then just the last question around antidepressants. So the kind of main line of thinking is to not have high doses of cacao if you are on SSRIs. Now, I understand that there is a lot of people taking SSRIs and a lot of people taking SSRIs and drinking cacao. If you are coming to our event, then I am asking you to do your own research and make a decision for yourself. What I would offer is a smaller dose of cacao. So just having less in the cup. We're not having big ceremonial doses anyway. It's a small cup, but having a little bit less, drinking some water with it, that would be my recommendation. But in the end, it's up to you to do your own research and decide what you want to do. There is also an alternative that we can offer, which is the beautiful hawthorn, this heart blend tea. It's a locally foraged tea that I get here from a herbalist nearby. And that is gorgeous tea. And we can offer that tea alone for anybody who doesn't want cacao for any reason. But you just need to let us know in advance so we bring it.
Okay. And final question that came in was, how do you help people overcome rejection sensitive dysphoria? And this would be something a lot of neurodiverse people have to manage in their lives.
Okay, so I had not heard of this before I got this question, and I did a little bit of research, and it is quite a strong reaction to rejection. And as I shared with the person who had asked me this question, what we are doing in these workshops is, as a group, practicing and strengthening our skills around negotiating consent and potentially receiving rejection. So it's super beneficial, but I feel that if you're having a very strong reaction, then one-to-one work will be far more beneficial than coming into a group and trying to navigate regulating within a group. We're also going to be 2 facilitators. It's just David and I. So I really feel that if you have, you know, identified or been told that you have this, then one-to-one somatic consent work will be incredible for helping you to navigate this to a place where it will be beneficial for you to come into a group workshop. What do you think, David? Do you have anything you want to add here? This is your court.
Yeah, well, we did discuss that in advance, and I think you're absolutely right. You know, people kind of need to kind of check in with themselves, because I mean, even though these are exercises, we are asking of people to check in with their own levels of consent, whether it's a yes or a no. So there will be an experience of rejection. So if you're going to come to the room, you need to be prepared for that, because it will potentially happen. But yeah, this is it's a clinical diagnosis, and it's a mental health question. So really, it requires research in advance in order to understand whether or not this is going to be the right place, and on a one-to-one basis, really to explore that would be kind of a good place to start before moving it into a group setting. So But yeah, I think that covers all the questions that we received, unless you want to add
Right.
anything in, Sinead.
No, I think that that's it. Like, I love these questions, because they really gave a scope of what people are thinking when they look at this event. Because I know that it's kind of unknown, and I feel like there can be so much fluff around workshops and offerings. And I'm really trying to be super clear in what we're offering so people know what to expect. And at the same time, no matter how much of a breakdown of an event that you can give, it's still, there's so much juicy unknown things that are happening in there, filling out the spaces. So yeah, I think just like you said, come along, open heart, and be prepared to experience something new. And also, if you have been doing this type of work, it's like, if you have already done maybe a consent workshop at one of our singles events, like this is a little bit deeper. And personally, when I'm going into other people's spaces and they're maybe doing similar practices to what I'm teaching, I love the opportunity to experience that through somebody else's transmission and to really experience it with a new partner. It's different every single time. Like, there's always something to learn. So whether you're an absolute beginner and it's your first time ever doing anything like this, or you've been to a bunch of workshops like this, like, everybody's welcome. And I feel that it is suitable for everybody.
Yeah, and actually, I might throw it in a little curveball here at the end.
Yeah, great.
We've run a little bit over time,
Yeah.
but so yeah, I could spend my 50 quid on whatever, or 45, isn't it? I think the workshop
45, yeah.
45. Why spend it here? So like I could spend it in a lot of different ways. Why should I spend it here? Sell it to me. What are the
So,
benefits?
are you looking for some connection in your life? Do you want to meet people in a more authentic way? Are you sick of this surface level bullshit that's happening in everyday conversations? Oh, yeah, the weather's great. Oh, yeah, the kids are fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is bringing us to a deeper level of connection, not only with other people, but with ourselves. And in this way, through the practice, through the workshops, we're taking an evening of like self-love for ourselves, an evening out of life, dropping into deeper connection, connecting first to ourselves, then to others, and getting to learn some real life skills that are just going to reverberate out through our entire lives. Because when we understand ourselves deeply, we know what our yes feels like, we know what our no feels like, we have the skills to communicate that, we're able to negotiate consent with another person. This stuff applies to all our lives. And I mean, the bonus of this is that you're just going to get to share an evening with gorgeous people and hopefully get a version of what it is that you desire on the evening, whether that is just a hug or maybe it's a really nice conversation or whatever it is, But this is an evening of you being able to ask also for what you really want. It's a safe space for you to ask for that. What do you reckon?
Right.
Did I sell it?
Yeah. Well, I was already sold, so
Yeah, I mean, you're
yeah,
coming anyway.
I'm coming anyway. And I suppose my answer to my own question
Yeah,
is,
yeah, great.
yeah, I spent a lot more, to be honest,
Mhm.
exploring this work for myself, because again, I was incredibly successful at failing in relationships, and I needed to really figure that out for myself. And coming to this work gave me that insight into what I was calling into my life, and really recognizing patterns that weren't working for me anymore. Um, that was in personal kind of relationships, and really improved my way of communicating, really, where I didn't feel valued in relationships, or where, communicating better when there was a challenge within the relationship that would have triggered my attachment style and I was wanted to be avoidant, and really understood that work. And I mean, it brought me to these to read books and understand myself. And I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't really taken the risk and gone to gone to an event, or booked work in this area. But more than that, though, completely improved relationships with family, in terms of, you fall into your family roles, and recognizing those roles and in an objective kind of way, and understanding how you behave within your family dynamic, and actually kind of, you know, what you've learned from, you know, the archetypes that of your parents, I suppose, how to be in relationships and recognize, I suppose, what didn't work for them, and where you've picked that up and kind of like it's playing out in your own life. So, and then by extension as well in your professional life, like just navigating like tricky employees or employers, or, you know, customers, or, you know, suppliers or whatever. It really applies to every relationship in your life. And so in terms of value, I mean, I don't know what value you could put on that, because it does really improve your life and your happiness. So that's really where I was at with all of this work. That's why I'm passionate about sharing it too, because there's a lot of turmoil in the world, a lot of turmoil within relationships. We've gotten to a point now in society where we can't even talk to one another in a civil way anymore. And for the sake of humanity, I really want to, I suppose, improve that situation for the world. Otherwise, I think we're goosed.
We have quite a big vision back here, which at
Well,
times feels really overwhelming. And then I'm
yeah.
like, okay, just one event at a time, Sinead, just keep going.
Well, that's it. That's it is. Like we talked about this as well. As if we can have an impact on one person's life, improve our relationship for one person, then great, brilliant, job done. That's I've no more. I don't have ambitions to change the world. All I can do is share the work in the hope that it'll improve people's lives in the same way it did mine. That's
Yeah,
that's my
and
that's my
inspire people through the work that we're doing. Like, I know my friends, I have friends that message me to say, like, I stood up for myself in work today and I thought about you, or I said no to this thing and I know how proud you'd be of me. Like, I've
yeah.
multiple friends who know that I am like actively celebrating when they say no to things that are not in alignment for them. And I love that I'm that person, that they're, you know, feeling inspired to message me. And yeah, for
Yeah.
myself, like, I mean, it's just supported and changed my entire life coming into this body of work. But I'm just going to bring it back to like where I'm at right now. And it's finding myself in a place where I can more and more put myself in this very vulnerable place and ask for what I actually want. Getting better and better at that all the time. And then noticing where I have the walls around my heart. Like, ooh, you did that thing again where you shut somebody out or you said no, or however it's turning up. It can be a feeling, it can be an action, but it's just noticing in my life all the time where I am blocking connection when what I really desire is coming into connection. I mean, my whole work, my business has got connection in the name, you know, and yeah, it's just because I'm doing this for work, it's like every single day I have to turn up and look at this stuff within myself, and it's such a gift. I just love it, you know. And to share that then with people is absolutely magic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I suppose that's another way. It's a great way to look at it, actually, by even choosing to come and, like, you know, 50 quid is a lot to people. So choosing to do this, it's for yourself, and it really is a gift to yourself.
Yeah.
Even if it has no impact on the rest of your life, and it's just for that evening, it's a lovely gift to yourself.
Yeah.
Um, or at least that's what people tell us.
Well, I know
Yeah,
that. I always feel like it's a gift to hold these, you know, like
yeah,
buzzing
yeah.
after it. Yeah.
We've gone over
Great.
time there,
We
but
have, yeah. So July 6th, Dublin, D7. Come along. David and I will be facilitating. We have this gorgeous evening at 6:30 to 10:30. The event is on our website, consciousconnectionsevents.com. Between now and then, we have a singles event, June 29th. That's in Cork. I'm facilitating with another colleague of ours, Emmy. David will also be there on the day. We are in a few places over the summer. So we're Happy Fest Northern Ireland on July 7th. So the day after the Cacao, Consent and Cuddles. Myself and David Patrick Farrell, we are doing a connection workshop for singles at Happy Fest, and we have a Mountain Lovers hike and workshop July 21st. So there is a bunch of surprise events to come after that, but for now, those are the things that are in the calendar and where you can find us over the next 2 months. But if you have any other hesitations or questions that were not answered about this specific event, please do reach out, email, Instagram, the website, and let us know, and we will get back to you. But I think we've done pretty good at being comprehensive here and answering all the questions.
Very good.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining me, David.
Thanks, Sinead. See you on the 6th.
See you there.